So let me introduce you to the flying Bear Laserman, because you've probably never heard of them before. I know I hadn't. Hello and welcome to another episode of James Dean Designs. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that little subscribe button in the corner to get all the latest tips, tricks, tutorials and reviews. Now, I'm not going to deceive you, the Laserman is not a new product to the market. It has been out a while and I've even had it in my possession for a few months now. But I'm really surprised that it's flying underneath the radar, given some of the features that you do get on this budget-friendly laser CNC machine. So let's take a look at what we actually get for the cost. Flying Bear only make one laser machine, so they've kind of put all their eggs in one basket, but there are two variations of it. The 5.5 watt, which is what I have in front of me today, and the 10 watt, which is exactly the same, just with a more powerful laser. Now, the cost of these are $330 for the 5.5 and about $410 for the 10 watt laser. Now, the cutting area of the machine itself is 400 millimeters by 450 millimeters. So that's 15.7 inches against 17.7 inches. It advertises an impressive top speed of around 10,000 millimeters per minute. Now, I didn't get up to that speed purely because with a 5.5 watt laser, you're hardly going to engrave anything at that speed. But I was impressed to see this laser cutting through 3mm basewood at around 300 to 350 millimeters per minute in one single pass, just proving that this laser is actually as powerful as advertised. Now, it is a fairly basic framed machine and the assembly of it is pretty simple. It does feel like there are lots of nuts and bolts to begin with, but the instruction manual is pretty clear on how to assemble it, and it will not take you too long at all to get it all built together, even with all the additional components. So what are those additional components? Well, let's start right at the back here with the air filtration system. This sucks the dirty air from underneath the laser from where it is burning, pulls it through the tube and passes it through a filter to keep the air around you much cleaner. Now, it is not perfect. When you're doing light engravings, it's pretty good, but if you start to burn heavier material like MDF and you're really getting a lot of smoke, well, you are still going to get the smell of burning around you and a bit of smoke in the air. There is an upgraded version to this filtration system which is more powerful, and that's about another $50, but it's a nice addition to have something attached to the laser that is cleaning the air, because ultimately you are burning material and you're going to get that smoke. This has a blue diode laser with a wavelength of 445, giving us lots of engraving options. You're going to be able to do hardwoods, softwoods, MDF, acrylics, paper, cardboard, leather, or even you will even be able to mark things such as stainless steel or anodized aluminium. You can cut through some thinner material as well, such as basswood, but ultimately when you start cutting, you will need to slow the speeds down to it and maybe take multiple passes to achieve that. Now, tied into where the air filtration connects to the laser, there is also a laser shield fitted, but the difference with this one, it has a focused passive air assist. Now, what that basically means is there is a fan on top of the laser that forces air through it to keep it cool. The shield underneath narrows that air into a concentrated point to help when lasering. So basically, you've got this really good flow system of the air passing through the laser and then being sucked straight back up. This helps when cutting and engraving, and as also mentioned, to keep the air cleaner around you. Now, the downside to having that fitted as part of the laser shield is you can't fit your own air assist nozzle without taking the entire shield off. However, I have found the passive air assist in this to be really effective, and I haven't missed having a separate air assist nozzle fitted, so it's actually been quite impressive. The Z-axis on this is manual. There's a little dial here next to the laser. You unlock that and then you can raise the laser up or down, obviously depending on the thickness of your material. There is also a little spacer bar that comes with the laser. You simply place that underneath the shield on top of the material, and that sets the perfect focal depth for this laser. Both the X and Y have single limit switches, meaning this machine can be honed. That is useful for repeat work, returning to the exact same coordinates, and generally letting the machine know exactly where the laser head is at any particular time. The cable management is pretty nice. It's tucked away in this drag chain which is held up off the floor. The reason that's important is it means you can pass material through from left to right without hitting any of the cables. So that is a nice addition. I am not sure about these plastic tubes yet. I'm not used to seeing the cable management going across the axis as opposed to up and over, that this does feel a little bit alien. However, it does the job. It keeps the cables in place and also protected. Now let's talk about the important big box at the front of the machine, the control unit. Well, the first thing about this is it is an offline controller, so you don't technically need to connect this to a PC in order to run it. You can load your files onto an SD card, insert them in the side, and then run your jobs straight from there. The user facing interaction of this offline controller is actually really nice and simple to use. I didn't even really need to look at the instructions. It was that intuitive. You can just work your way through, pressing the different buttons and figuring out the menu system. And from within this menu system, you can control quite a few things, such as the speed that the laser is running, do test firing with the laser. You can even control the power of the air extraction unit at the back in case you want to turn it up or down. Now from within that same menu you will also find the Wi-Fi area. This machine can connect to your Wi-Fi and ultimately allow you to then connect your phone, PC or laptop to the machine and run it remotely without the need for any cables. Now this is not an excuse to be able to leave your machine, it is just an alternative way to control your machine. Let's say if it is too far away from the PC or laptop, you can connect wirelessly and can control it that way. I found it very useful and easy to use. Again, every button seemed to work and do its job. There had been sufficient development within it. You can also connect the machine via a cable and use your most common software such as Lightburn or Laser GRBL to do all the normal operations. But just to clarify, you can't use those pieces of software to connect to this machine via Wi-Fi. When using Wi-Fi, you can only use the inbuilt software as part of the Laserman. You may also see a small red circle on the side of the control unit. This is part of the alarm system, and every time you hit something like one of the limit switches, it will flash and make an audible noise to let you know something has gone wrong. It is also connected to the flame detection system which is inbuilt into this machine, and whenever you are lasering and it detects a flame or a fire, it will go off and shut the machine down completely. Well, apparently that's what it is meant to do. Maybe the flame of a candle wasn't hot enough, so I took it one step further. Now, given that matte gas burns at over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, I was slightly surprised that neither of those tests set the alarm off and shut this machine down. Now, there is a little dial inside this unit to adjust the sensitivity of that sensor, so you can go in and play with that. But to be honest with you, it should kind of work out of the factory. I would rather it be a little bit too sensitive than not sensitive at all, and you never actually know whether it's going to work. So I was slightly disappointed by that, but that's the only thing I've been disappointed with so far. Now, included in the price is this roller system for doing cylindrical items such as tumblers. Now, it is one of the cheaper ones if I'm perfectly honest. However, it's kind of thrown in for free, so it is a bit of a bonus, and therefore I'm not going to complain about it. But one thing I would say is that if you move the rollers in tighter to do smaller diameter objects, the belt does get slack, so you either need to buy a smaller belt to accommodate that or find a better way to tension it. The other thing I should point out as well is that you have to raise the entire machine up on all four corners in order to use this with the laser. So I didn't really test much with it other than actually making sure that everything ran as expected with the roller device. The other thing is the air extraction technically only works when you are using the offline controller. There is a very easy solution to this. You just remove the little yellow wire at the side from the connector or put an inline switch in there. And then when you are using Laser GRBL or Lightburn, you can turn the extraction unit on separately, making it work. This probably can be resolved with a bit of a firmware update. So you may find after this video goes out, they correct that in future models. But as I say, overall, very little that needs improving on this machine. So for just over $300, you do get quite a bit for your money. If you're after a laser engraver with a decent working area, want to do cylindrical objects as well, well, you get all of that within the kit. If you wanted to do a bit more cutting, maybe take a look at the 10-watt version instead of the 5.5-watt version to have that little bit of extra power. Now, I mentioned at the start about Flying Bear kind of going underneath the radar. I think the main reason for this is they don't have as much of a social media presence, and they don't plow thousands into the marketing as other companies do. I'm pretty sure if they spoke about this machine much more on social media and promoted it more, we would certainly be hearing a lot more about it in all the various forums, because it is a great machine and I'm thankful I took the time to review it. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please make sure you subscribe. It always helps the channel, and thank you very much for watching. Final thanks as always goes to my patrons. If you want to get involved for one-to-one help, early access to content and giveaways with machines like this, then check out the Patreon links in the description area below. I will see you all on the